But the net zero idea was that we are cutting greenhouse gas emissions to as closest to zero as possible. And then we offset the ones that we really can't cut as the last resort. And the net zero idea is a very interesting strategic framework. So we are thinking about a timeline before 2050. We are trying to transition away, cut the carbon, and then we would do the offsetting. Offsetting has got very bad reputation, as many of you have heard. The current offsetting schemes, unfortunately, often are not very well developed or have inherent issues, whether those are human rights, social issues, or even environmental credentials. One big misperception here is the entire Sustainable Finance Action Plan is based on what the market demanded. It wasn't led by bureaucrats, it wasn't led by politicians, it was actually a market demand to standardize all the non-financial risk so that you could compare apples with apples and oranges across the EU. And ideally also globally, which is where the International Sustainability Standards Board comes in and has sped up its work, so that you would have the same principle that when you get an accounting statement, you would also get a sustainability report that is comparable across borders. Taxonomy as a tool. So this is how actually part of the use of the taxonomy was meant. So it also can help build all sorts of pathways and scenarios. And as I mentioned, transition will be the big word of the decade. So here, it also should be used as a transition tool. How to do it? There's many different approaches depending on which part of the system you are, whether it's a bank or an investor or even a government. So here, transition plans will be something that will be absolutely crucial. And these transition plans need to be informed by KPIs and data. And here's where taxonomy can generate some of that data. We are thinking about how to tidy up ESG ratings so that they're not a black box, so that we can figure out what the underlying information there is. From self-reported, voluntary, and backward-looking, we're actually starting to try and figure out how do we plan and analyze the future. And this is where the capital expenditures come in.